Last week, I was talking about editing and my color response curves, and somebody asked me if I can share the light setup that I was using for the self-portraits. So let's turn this into a deep dive video before I forget how I had my light set up. I'm starting with a light that is bicolor, and I'm gonna mount a Fresnel attachment in front of it. And the ambient light in the room is going to go away after I start my lights. Because this is the strongest light that I'll have in the entire scene, I'm gonna be referring to it from now on as my key light. And I have my key light pointing towards two V-flats that are rather close to each other. This way the light is shining through the opening in the V-flats and creating the sliver of light that you see in the final photo. And because I have the Fresnel attachment pointing towards the dark side of the V-flat, I'm not worrying that light will bounce all around the room and come back into the shot. Also, the angle of this light is not accidental. I wanted to create leading lines towards the subject and also illuminate just the far side of my face. This is called far side lighting, and I'm using it because it has a slimming effect and it's also sculpting the features of my face in the final photos. But of course, a photo with just a key light is not good enough, so I'll need a fill light. But the thing is that I can't really have a fill light in front of me because I have two giant V-flats. And since the space is at a premium, I'm gonna work around this limitation by using a snoot. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm placing it right beside me and it's blasting towards the white side of the V-flats. This way, I'm getting a virtual light source right in front of me and I'm using it to fill in the shadows. And what I'm getting for it is a massive surface area providing nice and soft light for my fill without blocking the beam from my key light. So yeah, a light with a snoot is becoming my fill light by bouncing off my V-flat. But because both of my lights are illuminating from the far side of the camera, I'm still getting very deep shadows towards the camera. And to deal with that problem, I'm gonna be using this tube light. It's small, but I don't need a lot of light, and I want it to be spilling all around the room, so I'm gonna be bouncing it off another V-flat. The idea is that I just need a general ambient light with a very diffuse light source. But before I start talking about color, I want to interrupt and make it very clear that you don't need 3 V-flats. I'm using it because I had it on hand, but if you don't have 3 V-flats, you can easily bounce the third light around from a wall, a ceiling, or any kind of large diffuser. It will be just good enough to raise the ambient level in the room. Now, back to color. I'm using color to dictate the emotions that the viewer gets from my images. And in this case, I wanted the room to feel small, lonely, and cold. So I'm using a lot of blue tones. And I want the ray from my key light to be warm and bring a little hope to the room. That means blue and orange, a mix that you're gonna see in a lot of movies, and I already know that I'm going to use Kodak 2383 color response curve for my edit. That's a film stock with really strong color contrast, and because of that, I don't want the white balance of my lights to be really far apart on the Kelvin range. I'm starting with my camera at around 5000 Kelvin, and I'm gonna set my key light at around 4000 Kelvin. That's just 1000 Kelvin less, and that's gonna make the light seem warm but not yellow. The same way, I want my fill light to be on the colder side of things, but again, I don't want to push it completely into the blue. The RGB tube will take care of that. And speaking of the tube, I'm gonna set it to a cyan tone with low intensity and a very high saturation. But I'm not going with pure blue because that has the potential to overwhelm the blue channel on my sensor. And I don't want to lose details just because I used a bit too much blue light. So the key takeaway from this section is that if you want realistic looking colors, unlike my background over there, you don't want to push your lights too far apart on the Kelvin scale. And most probably for the most realistic look, you want to keep your warm light and your cold light within 1 or 2000 Kelvin from each other. That being said, this is mostly my light setup. Unless you want me to also talk about the importance of having a fake plant behind the view. But that's beyond the point of this video, so I'm gonna stop here. If you liked it, make sure to press the buttons, down below. And if you wanna support my work and learn more about color response curves, or maybe check out my all-in-one grain preset, you can do so by checking out my website, right here. But until next time, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.